All right, we're going back to the trachea esophagus slide. Look at the esophagus this time. And we're going to start the layers so that next time we come in here, we'll have the same layers. So the mucosa layer, the submucosa layer, the muscularis layer, and then the serosa. So all of these are going to have these types of layers, except again, the esophagus has the adventitia rather than the serosa layer, but that's rarely asked, so I wouldn't even spend a lot of time doing that. In the esophagus on the hint page, it says remember layer. So it says what's the layer at the end of the pointer, and that would mean you need to look for mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, or adventitia. You never usually have. If you have an esophagus slide and there's stuff in the lumen, more than likely that's mucus. Just ignore that layer that's in there. And then the lamina propria is very, very thin. So it's very hard to see the lamina on a low magnification. All right, so again, this was the trachea right there. That's the esophagus. A little better? Contrast there. Okay, so again, this one has some mucus in it, in the lumen. So we don't do anything with that. That's just mucus. So we don't count that as any kind of layer. So now we're going to start the mucosa layer. And what is this tissue here? Okay, our stratified squamous. Remember that things that are usually exposed to roughened up surfaces have the stratified squamous with it. So your tongue, your esophagus, outer parts. All right, so stratified squamous. And then right below that, underneath this dark basement membrane, is going to be the lamina propria. So right underneath, it goes into each crevice down here, that's the lamina propria. And again, I'll go up on higher magnification in just a second. Underneath that, you should have a layer that's called the muscularis mucosa. It's going to look a little bit like smooth muscle. It's going to be right at the edge, right underneath the lamina propria. Again, when I go up to a higher magnification, you should be able to see it a lot better. But that kind of marks the end of the mucosa layer. So the mucosa layer is the stratified squamous, the lamina propria, and the muscularis mucosa. Then you have kind of this layer that doesn't look like much, kind of spacey and a lot of space in it. That's the submucosa. So it's down here too. And then pretty much the rest of this is the muscularis layer. And so all of this is muscle. And it's made up of the two types. We have longitudinal and circular. So on your, I didn't put on there. The circular is going to be first. It's going to be all this right here. And then do you notice where it kind of changes its appearance right here? On the very outside edge, that's going to be the longitudinal. So over here, you can see a difference between that and this. So circular is going to be first and longitudinal. There's only a few places that you're going to have 3 layers of muscle that you're going to have to know, and that would be longitudinal, circular, longitudinal. But in here, there's only 2. And that would again be in the muscularis layer. It's really hard to get in focus, but we'll try. Okay, so once again, we ignore the mucus. This is the stratified squamous. You can barely see the lamina propria in here. It's right at the edge of that stratified squamous.
Will they ask for that as a question, like the layers? It's going to be kind of hard to distinguish what they're pointing at exactly.
Well, with the actual true pointer, it may not be so bad. I'll try and bring out another one. I'll see if I can get one on there. The very outer edge of this right here, that's going to be your muscularis mucosa. The very outer edge. If we go down a little bit, there's more. You can kind of see that looks more like muscle right here. And then we have the submucosa.